Okay, welcome back to a new episode of Sail in Finland Camera Corner. As you might guess from the name of the site, a lot of the video shooting that I do is either on the shore or out at sea where it's windy. And therefore, thinking about how to control the wind noise for the audio is of course an important part. So just by chance then, a few weeks back, we had a pretty serious storm here in Finland, so I thought I'd use the opportunity to do a little bit of heavy wind testing and compare three different things. My E-M1.2 in-camera microphones, they have not a dead cat, but there is this setting inside the camera that supposedly reduces the wind noise. Then the other thing is then my Synco microphone, so M1S, a very small, reasonably cheap microphone. And then the third one is my Deity D4, a directional microphone that I recently bought. So which of these setups would then be best for recording audio and perhaps also a little bit sort of ambient noise in a very windy environment at the seashore. The first video that you will see here now is then a little bit giving you an impression of the general conditions. I don't have a wind meter myself available for the shooting, but a nearby weather station reported about 12 to 14 meters per second. That's about 25 knots, and gusting up to even 18 meters per second. So that would be about 35 knots. As you will see from the videos, our shore on that wind was very sheltered. There's just a fetch of say 200-300 meters, so the waves were very small, so you don't get this kind of Atlantic seashore type of environment where there's very heavy wave noise. Most of the noise that, or most of the sound that I would have heard as a human being would be actually the wind in the trees. But then when I was shooting on the shore side, then that would have been behind me, so that sound effect should have been a little bit reduced by the directionality of the microphones. On the other hand, then what I would get as sort of an ambient sound in the direction of the microphone would be some small wave slapping, not very big wave noise, but still reasonable. So let's take a look at the camera setup. So first, here's the Synco. It's a very small, it's actually also very inexpensive, just about 30 euros or something like that. And the good thing is that when you buy it, it actually comes with a very sizable dead cat. Very easy to use. You just put it on the microphone and that's it. And then the second microphone is then this Deity. Is the new D4 directional microphone, and this one also I've been using now for some videos and also quite satisfied with it. It has some interesting features, such as you can control the volume here, and then also actually both microphones are such that you need phantom power from the camera, but this one actually then automatically kind of turns on when it recognizes that there's phantom power coming into this connection. So the Deity comes with actually two types of wind protection. So the first one is this foam piece that you stick over the microphone like this, and then the second part is then a dead cat that you then can put on top of the foam. And okay, let's see if I can get it. And then there's a sort of a strap here that allows you to actually tighten it up. So this is the Deity. But that's enough about the microphones. Let's take a look then at the test. So what I did, I was sitting by the shore side, pointing the camera, you will see, towards the lake or the sea, and then recording ambient sound. I set the camera level to -9 so that none of the cases would be clipping, so the volume will be comparable across the samples. Then for both of the on-camera microphones in Resolve, I also made one copy where I increased the volume, say roughly 18 or 20 decibels, so that it would be audible, because of course most of the wind noise was taken away by the dead cats, so the overall volume was actually quite low. But then you can hear kind of what would be the residual sound, in comparison with the others. So I'll let you listen to the samples first, and then when we're through with the samples, then I'll give you some comments on what I think was good or bad. So this is now the Deity microphone. I put up the camera setting to 0, and then basically what I've done is I've put the microphone to -3, and now treating if this now would be something where I could actually then get my voice through. So this is 40 centimeters away from the camera and the microphone, and now I'm moving a little bit further back, so now I'm 60 centimeters away from the microphone to test, whether I can actually record my voice with this or not. So this is now a second test with the Synco microphone. I'm sitting now again about 50 centimeters away from the microphone. It's straight in front of me, and I've set now the camera setting is on 0. So this is now a more realistic environment for actually then seeing whether I can sort of get my own voice onto the video. So the microphone of course has the dead cat on. Again, it doesn't make sense to test with any other setting, and this is what it sounds like. So can you actually make out my voice? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the samples. So my observations in general are, first of all, the in-camera microphone, even with the sort of the software-based wind noise reduction is more or less a joke. It doesn't really do anything. The one thing actually that surprised me was that it seems that actually the noise reduction is mainly just a low pass filter. So the quality of the noise when the noise reduction was totally off compared to any of the other settings. Actually, personally, I think that the sound of the wind, even though it was loud, of course, in the setting with the wind noise reduction set to off, it was much more pleasant. Because then when the reduction was on, mainly what it did was take out the low frequency noise, and the quality of the sound became much more harsh and actually I think much more irritating. So from that perspective, actually, after this test, I'm going to put wind noise reduction to off in my E-M1.2 simply because if I forget to bring anything to actually stop the sound then, or the wind noise, then basically the wind noise, if I get it, it's least irritating with the setting off. If we then get to the microphones, then perhaps one thing that surprised me was how little the foam actually did on the Deity. So using the foam only in a high wind environment is not really useful. It's the wind noise is still very noticeable with that. Then when you put on the dead cat, it wasn't so noticeable in the comparison video, but then when I actually put up the noise, the sound level by 20 decibels, and then in the test where I was actually speaking, you can hear that actually it's kind of leaks every now and then. So you get these sort of short intervals of wind sound coming in. Then if we look at the Synco, I must say that despite its small size and very affordable price, I think it came out as the winner here. Without the dead cat, of course, it sounds pretty terrible, as you would expect, but then putting on the dead cat, I actually think that it didn't leak. There were some small leaks, yes, but they were very unnoticeable and would quite easily be removed, for instance, in Resolve if I would just add a little bit of reduction. But also, I mean, if I think the whole, if you look at the test where I was talking into the Synco, I can hear the background sound in a pleasant way. The waves were kind of creating a pleasant ambient background noise, and there were no disturbing additional wind sounds, and my voice was actually quite clear. So if I would have to make a recommendation which of these three setups to use for a very windy recording on the E-M1.2, then actually I would definitely recommend that you would use the Synco, because overall I think it created the most pleasing result. So that was that for this time. If you want to, you can go back and listen to the audio samples. I actually have there's the Resolve frequency analyzer and the waveform there at the top of the samples. So that gives you also a little bit of an idea of how they behave. And if you then like this thing, then perhaps you would like to subscribe to Sail in Finland. Mostly it's about sailing and boating in Finland, but every now and then I do these camera corner things with some camera information. So if you like this, welcome back and see you next time.